My name is Nikki Aiello. I'm a recovery and life transition coach. And I have these awesome little interviews every other week or so, sometimes every week. And I try and bring on just experts in different areas of health and wellness for inspiration and for resources and for referrals and guidance, all kinds of stuff. So this week I have Jess Press. She's a holistic health and wellness consultant. Is that the best title for you?
Yeah, that's
okay.
Great.
And so I'm bringing her on today to talk specifically about women's health and how to bring our bodies into balance naturally. And I'll have her go more into, the specifics behind that for sure. But I just want to introduce her. So I'm just going to read a little something, kind of her bio. And so Jessica Press has a degree in holistic health and wellness with a minor in psychology and nutrition. So all of the mind, body, spirit stuff. That's awesome. She was an educator and an independent school for 13 years. And I do know you work a lot with teens and specialize in that, which is super cool.
Yes.
As the head of the phys ed department, and she coached a variety of sports and health programming. I want to hear more about those sports. And then she started her first entrepreneurial endeavor, which was a non-medical holistic home care agency. She and her team provided care to aging and disabled individuals so that they could remain living independently with the highest level of quality of life. That's incredible. Through teaching and caregiving, she developed a deeper passion for holistic solutions and plant medicine support, which we've talked a lot about plant medicine the past month. I've had like 3 or 4 different people on who specialize in plant medicine. So this kind of ties in with all of that too. I'm still kind of on that train. This passion has led her to her current coaching and business Wellness Matters Incorporated. So that's a little, educational background and professional background on Jessica. And now, why don't I just introduce you? You can say hi to everybody. And well, first of all, I will say Jessica and I met at Nurture, which is Denver's new healing mecca. And so I'm a member there. So I work out of there doing recovery and life transition coaching. And then it's an incredible place where wellness practitioners, physicians of all kinds, and healers come together. We all have spaces there. And then there's also fitness, and there's a cafe, and there's some retail. It's really incredible. If you're in Denver, it's on Federal and Spear in the old St. Dominic's Church, high school next to that. So that's where we met, and we just really hit it off, and I wanted her to come on. So Jessica, welcome.
Thank you so much, Nikki, for having me. I love what you're doing here, and I love being a part of community and conversations, especially with women, around women, for women, through women. So I am super excited to be here. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, tell us a little bit more about like your own personal experience and kind of what drove you into this type of work, and like maybe how you live, like how do you apply all of this in your own life?
Yeah, that's a great place to start. So, I feel like wellness and spirituality is a very synchronistic dance, right? Like I feel like when you are focusing on wellness, raising your vibration, raising your quality of life, taking care of yourself, that only increases your spiritual frequency the same time. So I really look at it as one and the same, like it's all in the same kind of basket. So I've, always been on this wellness quest with getting my degree in holistic and wellness and then going into education. I really got into plant medicine after my almost 10-year-old son was born, and I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's disease. And I was even then into wellness, obviously, but I wasn't super in tune with plant medicine and all of the healing that could be done in our kitchens and in our homes. So when I got diagnosed with Hashimoto's disease, I actually went through the Western medical care system first. And I truly am an integrative specialist. There is a time for the big guns in Western medicine. I'm so thankful for the Western medical system. And I think there's so much space and room for us to be our own practitioners and our own doctors in a way, right? So I went through the Western medical kind of system looking for answers, and no one could figure out what was wrong with me. And they wanted to just put me on Prozac because they thought I was depressed as a postpartum mom, right? So I wasn't okay with that answer. So I sought more testing. I found a naturopathic doctor, and she's really the one who found the biomarkers for the antibodies for Hashimoto's disease. And through that knowledge, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do as much as I can myself. So I really had a shift in nutrition in a big way. I started doing a lot more meditation and body, mind, spirit connection work. And I also found plant medicine and essential oils at that same time. So I ended up kind of like firing my doctor and really treating myself. And I found after about 3 months of using essential oils and supplementation and some little lifestyle tweaks, I found myself asymptomatic. And it was funny going back into the Western medical world, they were calling me a medical miracle because I didn't have any symptoms. And, you know, these are the people that are like, you're going to have this for the rest of your life. You're going to need to be medicated for the rest of your life. And it really was not a lot of hope for that. So it was a really beautiful thing when I found ways to kind of, I don't like using the word cure, but I really found ways to treat myself to become asymptomatic. So since then, I've whittled my meds down, and I've been asymptomatic now for almost 7 years. And I've kind of fixed all the problems that created with the weight and the hair loss and the stress and the sleep and the thermostat dysregulation. I really handled all of that myself. So, you know, I also love acupuncture. I have to give my acupuncturist, Jess Goodman, a shout out because she was integral in my healing as well. So, you know, looking for answers yourself, you'd be surprised at how much we can actually do for ourselves in our health issues, just with simple things like lifestyle things like nutrition. And my favorite, essential oils and plant medicine, has been now this world of essential oils and plant medicine is not only my medical system. I go to that with any ailment I have. I'm like, okay, what can I do first naturally? And then if that doesn't work, then I go seek other things. But it's also my mental care facility as well. I use it for so much of my mental health support as well as my physical. And I reeled it into my spiritual work as well. So when I'm thinking about like the embodiment of a whole human, this plant medicine journey and natural solutions really supports the whole person. So that's a little bit of what led me into this, was my own struggles with my own health issues, and the freedom I've found in it has been amazing. And, you know, the hundreds of clients that I've worked with that they've also found answers in nature is all the like proof I really need to know that it works and that it's gentle and that it's kind. And I really look at plants as being our allies in many ways. So, you know, I could get into the biochemistry of how similar a human cell is to a plant cell and why they work so well together. But just the fact that we love nature and how good it feels to be in nature should tell you so much about what happens when we put nature in our bodies, right? So when we think about eat more vegetables, eat more plants, that's putting nature in your body. Get into the forest bathing. I crack up that that's a thing. I'm like, oh, like just being outside. Yes, go forest bathe, right? Like everything that science is now saying is helpful for our health is really obvious to me when it comes to nature. Has so many answers for us readily available.
Wow, that is such a beautiful and amazing story.
Good.
Yeah, amazing. Will you talk a little bit more about plant medicine? I know that, you know, you're working your work on yourself, your own sort of lifestyle and treatment, and, you know, just sustainability involves essential oils. But what are other types of plant medicine too, and how do you use them?
Yes. So, you know, there's like, for me around wellness, everything starts with nutrition. So that always incorporates plants and food as medicine, right?
Yeah.
Then there's kind of the essential oils. And then I'm also on a path of shamanic studies. I've been studying with some brilliant teachers now for almost a year. And through that world, I've also discovered, you know, tools for spiritual growth and ascension through plant medicine, things like psilocybin and ayahuasca, Kana combo, bufo. There's all sorts of mind altering plant medicines that can be used in a very ritualistic, ceremonial way to open your heart, open your mind, and give us different perspectives on living and love and seeing ourselves. So that is another piece of work that I'm doing and that I plan on offering soon. I'm, in the process of training and getting really comfortable with being a ceremonialist and holding space for people to discover their true nature and their true self through plant medicine rituals and journeys. So that is something that I'm dabbling in and getting really excited about and experiencing. And I feel like that is a way that people can really expand their consciousness and just learn things about themselves that might not otherwise be accessible through psychotherapy and things like that. So I'm a big proponent of using nature as a way to grow spiritually as well.
Wow. Thanks for expanding on that. And I agree with all of that.
Yeah. Good. Good.
Yeah. One of my favorite movies, latest ones, is Fantastic Fungi.
Oh yeah.
And I'm sure you've seen that. And it's like mushrooms and fungus and mycelium being basically the nervous system of the planet.
Yeah. Yes. And too, I'm so happy that it's becoming more mainstream and accessible to people, decriminalized, and like the taboo is becoming a little bit obsolete around it. Like it's a way, and it's a thing that people are doing and becoming more familiar with and talking about and looking at as a tool for better living, which I feel like nature is a tool for better living. So why not travel down that path?
Absolutely. I'm a huge proponent of it. I mean, so many, they're using it, so much PTSD, trauma work. It's been proven to be just so helpful. So, I'm excited that you're going to be doing that too. Well, today I'll try and keep it because I would love to go in more into Hashimoto's and your experience with that nutrition and more into the plant medicine in this regard, but I'll keep
well,
it.
You can have me back, Nikki.
I know. I'm going to have you back for sure. That'd be awesome. So today I'll go back on topic and point out we're going to be discussing female hormones and female balance. And I thought, I'm 45 and I have friends who vary between.
You're looking good, girl. 45.
Well, thank you. You know what? Nutrition. I rebuilt my body starting 25 years ago. I started rebuilding a broken down body with food. That was huge.
And look at you now.
I feel like every cell in my body, I learned a lot about, like the red blood cells and chlorophyll and how similar they are, and so all of that stuff, it's a huge testament to the power of, I look better right now than I did, in 23. And I was also a basket case. That didn't help.
Me too. Me too. I love that. Like we're aging backwards because we have like secret weapons.
Totally. Secret weapons is so great. So I wanted to speak to, I definitely have some friends who are maybe perimenopausal, premenopausal, and the whole gamut. And I thought maybe, and I'm not really experiencing anything in those regards yet, but I wanted to talk about it so I can educate myself and also to share information. I just saw a comment from my friend to share information with, other women who are between ages 30 and 50, basically, and plus, whatever applies.
Yeah. Great.
So
great.
I don't know where you want to start. Maybe I'll just let you kind of take the lead.
I do have like a little bit of a plan. So first of all, just some of the main issues that I see when women come to me in this kind of perimenopausal, even menstruating age, people come to me for fertility issues. I also have younger girls, a lot coming to me now with real severe problems with endometriosis, adenomyosis, issues with their reproductive systems. Then I have the mid-age range who are people who are in their, 30s, early 40s, who have horrible periods, who cannot function because of the pain and the discomfort and the mood swings and everything that goes with that. Then we have kind of like our age where we might be like creeping up into perimenopause and maybe having some symptoms all the way to full-blown menopause and having some people have very, very little symptomology around it. And I find that there is a correlation between lifestyle, especially around nutrition and self-care, and severity of symptoms a lot of the time. So for me, I like to look at like the main issues that women are dealing with. And then the first line of defense always for me is nutrition. That is like the baseline and foundation of almost any issues that we're having in our body, I go back to like, well, let's look at the nutrition. Let's look at the nutrition. So I did come up with a list of main issues that women come to me with, and then primary concerns of people in that 30 to 50-year-old age range. And then I also have a list of the common deficiencies, nutritional deficiencies that these people might face. So I'm going to go over some of that stuff.
Cool.
So the things that people come to me for the most are hypo or hypothyroid issues, weight management issues, adrenal issues, mostly adrenal fatigue, memory and brain fog, mood swings, sleep, and infertility and type 2 diabetes. Those are kind of like the things that I'm helping people with the most. Some other, I think, just as important issues just to be aware of, because a lot of what I'm going to be talking about is preventing these things. So even though hopefully none of us are dealing with these now, we can make sure that we don't have to deal with them in the future by being preventative with them now. So along with those are things like asthma and allergies, osteoporosis, anxiety, sex drive, breast and ovarian cancer, back pain, heart disease, arthritis, reduced metabolic rate, loss of muscle mass, skin issues like moles and cancer, thinning hair, vision loss, depression. I feel like that's a pretty big swipe over like, God, I hope none of those things are ever happening to me, right? So the things I'm going to be talking about are really going to be talking about supporting the systems that, when broken down, lead to these variables. So
can I point something out real quick? Can I point something out real quick? I just want to stress the fact that all of these things that you listed in the Western model might be more, it might be diagnosed as this thing, as this disease, as a noun, right, versus disease as a verb. And basically them being symptoms of an underlying imbalance. Right. So these are not something like, oh, I was diagnosed on type 2 diabetes forever. Oh, right, I have cardiovascular something or other. Like these, it's a real repatterning of your understanding of wellness and illness.
Yes.
So once again, these are symptoms.
Right. And usually, like I said, a lot of those can be traced back to nutritional deficiencies, yeah, and inflammation. So like those two things cause so much havoc in our system. And when you look at things like stress as it's like, lighter fluid on inflammation. So when we really focus on decreasing stress, we're really decreasing inflammation in our body, which is decreasing symptomology as related to these inflammatory issues, right?
Will you talk, I'm sorry to interrupt one more time, but will you just speak a little bit more to inflammation?
Yeah. So many of the health concerns that we have really come from inflammation. So when I look at gut issues, so many people come to me with diverticulitis, GERD, Crohn's, gut issues, and stress showing up in their gut. All of that to me speaks to inflammation.
And that's basically just irritated tissue, right? It's irritated, it's inflamed.
Right. Yep. And a lot of things that make inflammation are inflammatory foods that cause our body to react in an inflammatory process, right? It's like our body's like, what? Ah! It has to work harder because it's not really what your body wants, right? Things like alcohol, sugar, those are all inflammatory producers. So when we start looking at what we're putting in our body, we can really get a clear picture of what's really happening. So I feel like when we can lean in towards more of an anti-inflammatory lifestyle, then that's going to be really primary in dealing with the inflammatory responses in our body and the illnesses that go along with that. Okay. I will be talking about specific essential oils that really help with reducing inflammation after I talk a little bit about the major nutritional deficits and deficiencies that a lot of women in America have, because our deficiencies are different than the deficiencies in Asia, Europe, and South America. Our specific crappy American diet is really inflammatory, right? So most people that eat a typical American diet have inflammation in their system that can cause so many things. Pain equals inflammation, right?
Okay,
so
that's a good way to
look at
think about it.
When we have pain in our body, there is no free flow, and that's what what causes pain. So looking at some of these basic nutrients and how important they are is just the first step. And then I'll get into more of like the plant applications and things. So iron is one of the big things that a lot of people are deficient. So it's a large component of red blood cells and getting oxygen to different parts of our body. There's hemi-iron and non-hemi-iron. One is a animal foods. Red meat contains hemi-iron, and non-hemi-iron comes from plant products. So iron deficiency is one of our most common deficiencies, and it affects more than 25% of the people worldwide. Around 30% of menstruating women have an iron deficiency around blood loss. We're losing blood, but we're not putting in those iron-rich nutrients to help replace that nutrients in our body. So the kind of symptomology around being iron deficient: tired, weakened immune system, you get sick a lot, and impaired brain function, which shows as memory, brain fog, or confusion. So the things that you can do to just amp up your iron supply: eating clean red meat. And I'm a plant forward eater, and there's certain nutrients that lend themselves easier to get with certain things. So I'm not like, eat a ton of red meat. That's not what I'm saying here. 3 ounces, 85 grams of red meat can provide 30% of the daily value of iron. Organ meat is 50%, one slice of organ meat. Shellfish is 50% when you're looking at 3 ounces. Canned sardines. But then when we look at the plant sources, beans, a half a cup provides about 35% of our DV. Seeds, pumpkin, sesame, squash seeds are good sources of non-hemi iron for those vegans out there. Dark leafy greens, right? Broccoli, kale, spinach are super rich in iron. So keeping those kind of in your diet and just being aware. However, you don't need to supplement iron if you're not deficient, because that can cause problems too. So
you need to get tests.
Say that again?
So you need to get tests.
That's right. I mean, I feel like if you're feeling like something is off, information about what's going on in your system is great. And my personal suggestion is to get tested through a naturopathic doctor, because they look at tests very differently than the Western world. Western medicine looks at like, are you dying, and what is super elevated, or what are like red flags. Yeah. Whereas naturopathic doctors look at like predecessors and patterns, and they also look at like how you're feeling and how it's presenting. These symptoms are showing up in your world. So that's just my own personal preference. But yeah,
well, I'm huge. I talk about that a lot in all of these interviews. It's like preventative medicine. When, just like you said, going to a naturopath or a functional medicine doctor, they start to talk to you about something when it's starting to show imbalance, rather than when it's at disease. You know, and it's just so important for us to learn that is a much better way of living. You know, it almost always requires some work at that moment to reverse, but it's so much more effective, more efficient, more cost effective, more life energy effective to do it preventatively than post. As a recovery coach, I always say prevention is so much easier than recovery.
Totally.
So when you can do it. And also like, preventative medicine is easy for skeptics to kind of poo-poo, because it's one of those things that you can't prove.
Like there's no problem. What am I helping here?
Exactly. Like, well, I don't have diabetes. You know, it's just one of those things. It's like, yeah, you can't necessarily prove that eating well prevented you from getting diabetes, but most likely it did.
Right. No, I'm going to talk a lot about preventions. Yes. So, eating vitamin C helps absorb iron. So that's just another thing to be considering when you're trying to boost your iron, is to add vitamin C. So the next most common deficiency is iodine, and iodine is a essential mineral for thyroid functioning. And there's so many women, they're dealing with thyroid issues. It's pretty interesting kind of looking at like, what is that about? Why are so many women getting diagnosed with Hashimoto's or hypothyroidism and all of these things? And I have to think that it has to do something with our food or water source or our lifestyle, because how could this many people in our age range be facing this? But iodine is one of those things that can help the production of thyroid hormones. So thyroid hormones are involved in every process of our body. So if we can keep our thyroid super happy, then that is something that's going to help your overall well-being and wellness. So, the most, let's see, a third of the world's population is iodine deficient. And the biggest symptom is enlarged thyroid gland or goiter. So if you are getting some of those kinds of symptoms, look at the iodine levels in your system. It can also increase your heart rate, shortness of breath, and weight gain are also symptomology. So how do we get iodine in our body? Seaweed, fish, there's dairy, plain yogurt is about 50%. Eggs, one large egg contains 16%, but you can also get just iodine drops as a supplement to help with that depletion. So vitamin D deficiency is also really common, especially in the darker months, right? We all know that vitamin D comes from, it's a fat soluble vitamin that functions like a steroid hormone in our body. And almost every cell in our body has a receptor for vitamin D. And about 42% of people in the US have a vitamin D deficiency. So most of us should be supplementing vitamin D.
Almost every cell in the body has a receptor. That's so interesting.
Yeah, yeah. So the symptoms can be subtle, but it can be things that you don't realize, like depression. That can actually be a vitamin D related deficiency. So things, it also can play a role in reduced immune function. So if you're getting sick a lot, vitamin D can help boost that. So the best dietary sources are cod liver, fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, trout, and egg yolks. I take a vitamin D supplement, and then sunshine. Like, let's not wear sunscreen all the time. I mean, wear it on your face, stay pretty, but get some sunshine on your skin, and that activates the whole vitamin D process in your body.
Yeah, because if you're honestly putting the sunscreen on, especially certain types, like those cells are not getting it, right? Like that's
right.
I mean, I know you can absorb a lot. I know that serotonin is produced a lot through, well, that's not really vitamin C, but I mean, that's not vitamin D, but I was thinking that the eyes probably kind of get a decent amount, but that might be more serotonin and not vitamin D. So
you do get some D through absorption, sunlight in your eyes.
Okay, cool.
Yep. So vitamin B12 is another common deficiency, and it's essential for blood formation and brain and nerve function. So if you're having things that are dealing with your nervous system, your brain, your cognitive functioning, might be a vitamin B deficiency. So more than 20% of adults have a deficiency in this vitamin because it decreases with age. So things that we can do, again, shellfish, eggs, meat, milk. I know a lot of people are like, no. And there are things that you can do with B12 deficiencies because it is so common with vegans and vegetarians and older adults. The most common, symptoms are blood disorders, impaired brain function, and elevated homeocysteine levels. So I wanted just to briefly mention a few more because I really want to get into like the oil stuff. So calcium deficiency, super common in women and as we age between 30 and 50. So things like boned fish, dark green vegetables are super, super important. Vitamin A deficiency and magnesium are the other two that are just things to be aware of as you are looking at your vitamins. If you're not supplementing, my opinion is if you are 30, you should be supplementing. The reason being is that our food source is greatly depleted, especially if you're eating things that are local. Our land has been overused. The nutrients has not been replaced. So the tomato that you're eating is way, way different than the tomato they were eating 40, even 20 years ago. So I feel like by proxy, by where we live and because of the food sourcing of our country, which is not the best, we need to do more in the realm of nutrition to support our basic dietary needs.
And especially minerals.
Trace minerals, and because we don't live, especially in Colorado, by oceans, we don't get a lot of the omega-3, 6, and 9s that we need as well. So with those things, I feel like this is a preventative measure that will be good for you to do. Okay, I want to shift, if I can, a little bit. and talk a little bit about a few things. So I always like to approach wellness as a 3-tiered thing: body, mind, spirit. All of those things play together. Not one is excluded when we're looking at the others. So when we're approaching nutrition as being the most important thing, we're still looking at how's your mind, how's your spirit, because they all feed off each other. We are a whole human. We are very intricate and complicated, if you will, in the best ways. So while I'm talking about body, I'm also going to be talking a little bit about what's happening in the mind and spirit as well, because those things are just as important as the vitamins we take. So,
Hey, and by the way, everyone, if you have any questions for Jessica at any time, you can shoot those in through the comments, and I will get to them towards the end.
yes, thank you. I love it. So there's 3 places in a woman's body that we can really start tuning into and calling home. One of the things that I really like to teach women, that I'm surprised at how many people take it for granted, that we have this beautiful connection with our bodies. So my question would be like, how often do you really check into your body? How does your body feel? Are you in your body? Are you feeling the things that might allude to some imbalance? So the 3 most common spaces in women to call home or to be in tune with is your heart space, your gut space, and your lower abdomen or your root chakra. So if you can once in a while tune into those spaces, you might find an easier time hearing any disturbances or imbalances. So that is one take home that I really want to express, is how important it is to listen to your body. Your body has ancient wisdom. You know way more than your doctor does about your body. So being in tune, listening, watching, learning from your body is such a huge healthy practice that I just want to encourage every woman to do. And if it helps to call home into those spaces, you know, doing a 1-minute meditation where, you know, for 20 or 30 seconds, you're tuning into your heart space, tuning into your gut space, tuning into that lower abdomen space, can really help you be in tune with what's going on with your body. Something I want to talk about that's super important is the relation to our kidneys. So our kidneys are like a woman's like intelligent center. And
Yeah?
I know this might
Wow,
be
never
a
heard
surprise,
that.
but in Chinese medicine, this space is like one of the most important spaces that's kind of overlooked. It's kidney health is huge, huge, huge. And there are some things that we can do to really support our kidneys. You know, B complex, vitamin C, celery seed, vitamin D, dandelion root. There's a lot of parsley. Any of those kinds of things are super good. So looking at our liver, our pancreas, our kidneys, our adrenals, and our thyroid are ways that we can really mitigate a lot of physical ailments for ourselves. So if we do a really good job supporting those systems, most things are going to be okay, right? So just thinking about nurturing those places with vitamins, and then I love to nurture those things with oils as well, helps things move easier and helps keep things healthy. So I want to talk a little bit about cycles and our periods. And you know, our culture, I think a lot of in history, our periods have been like this shameful, embarrassing pain in the ass, right? Like, oh, I'm on the rag, blah, blah, blah. And then the pain and the anguish and the moods and the trouble it causes us. I feel like we could make a little bit of a conscious shift around how we view our menstrual cycle, and it can change a lot of things in our body. So if we start looking at as a beautiful gift and as a time where the veil between our physical body and our spiritual world starts to thin, and the messages that our body is giving us through that sacred time is beautiful and sacred and anointing, and acting as if it's a beautiful ritual that's given to us by Mother Nature and God themselves, might change your tune about how hard it has to be to go through our cycles. So I love the idea, you know, the Indians used to all go into a tent, a red teepee together to support each other during a cycle. So one of my favorite things to do around cycle time is get with your girlfriends. They get it. They know. that supportive tribe can help ease a lot of dysfunction and a lot of like that negative imagery that we have around our cycles. And I say even go lean in deeper and make it a thing where, you know, get pink or red sheets, go into your, like, make it a thing, wear red, like let yourself bleed on yourself a little. Like it doesn't
really
have to
acknowledge
be
it.
this, yeah, like really like embrace it as a beautiful gift rather than this thing that you have to deal with and think, I can't wait till it's over. And, you know, just shifting your mindset around what that is, because it's a beautiful spiritual process that our body goes through to shed. We are new women once a month.
Well, and also like, why are we doing it? Why does it happen anyway? We have the potential to create another being.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we are, I mean, as far as the sexes go, incredibly creative. And that is, you know, a symbol of our creativity, our creative
Absolutely.
potential there. So,
and so what, I mean, speaking to that point, like get creative during that time, like get a paintbrush in your hand or make something beautiful or just create for the sake of creating because your body is meant to do that. Right. Mm-hmm. So leaning into the power of our cycle rather than being like dragged down by it, I think is a beautiful thing. I also love the idea of making ritual around it. Like when you're in that space, make a queen's bath for yourself, which is different than just a regular bath. You are anointing your bath. You are making it this beautiful ritual process with flowers and oils and salts and aromas and candles. And you're basically taking your body on a date in the tub to honor yourself and to care for yourself and to make it a delicious, beautiful, lovely experience. So that's just one example of something that you can do during that time that might shift the energy around that experience to make it delicious and juicy rather than something that's like that you have to deal with. There are some oils that really promote femininity, fertility, menstrual ease, and I'm going to talk about a few of those now. Rose oil is like the queen of oils, and rose has the energetic frequency of the highest realm of all the plants. So it has this really high level of frequency. It's like the frequency of love. So I love using rose over my heart space. I love using rose over my abdomen. When we're using essential oils, there's obviously this connection between the physiological chemistry that we're putting in and on our body. And then there's this amazing thing that happens in our limbic system when we smell. When our olfactory bulb connects to our limbic system, and we're using smell to shift our headspace, it's a beautiful gift. So just as an example of a quick thing to do is take some oil of your choice, rose is great, and breathing it in for 1 to 3 minutes can super shift your energy, your emotions, and the way you feel about your body or your headspace. So rose is a beautiful oil for that. Geranium, rose is also kind of expensive, so I like to talk about geranium because it's like the poor man's rose. It has a lot of the same chemistry and chemical constitutes. It has this beautiful self-acceptance message for us. So we can use geranium in a very similar way.
I think there's even a type of geranium called rose geranium, or is that a combo of both the oils?
Nope, it's a strain of geranium.
Okay.
Yes, and it looks like more like a rose. It's like a hybrid almost, right? But it is in the geranium family. And then, you know, bergamot, which is kind of a cousin to a lime, is really good for depression and self-confidence and just to like wake your senses up around menstruation, around your period. If you're feeling lethargic and low, bergamot will be an upper. Let's see, clary sage is a beautiful cleansing oil, but it's really nurturing to our abdomen and to our female reproductive system. So this is another one. You know, I use sage in a similar way to smudging your body. So if you feel like there's stagnant energy in your body and you want to kind of clear some space, using clary sage would be a super great way to do that.
And are you talking about just putting it in your hands and rubbing it like with a carrier oil or something on your body?
And all the oils that I talked about so far can be used neat without dilution. But if you want to use a little less, and if you want to dilute it, I recommend fractionated coconut oil. Fractionated coconut oil has a middle chain fatty acid that's been removed from it, so it's way more absorbent, and it doesn't change the chemical constitutes of the essential oils. So it acts as a neutral carrier, whereas like olive oil and almond seed like actually changes the chemistry of the essential oils.
Oh, interesting.
So this is just a good way to like make them last longer and like that. So just as an example, 1 drop of therapeutic grade essential oils. So I just want to do a little disclaimer. All oils are not made the same. I use doTERRA brand because I really appreciate their level of testing and consistency in their chemistry. So don't expect the same things from the oils you buy at Walmart.
Right.
I'm just saying be conscious and aware of the difference between quality. So I know I'm talking about the brand that I'm familiar with. So I know there's a few other brands that have chemistry testing, but I would suggest if you're using essential oils to make sure they're pure therapeutic grade, or I call medicinal or pharmaceutical grade, right? So yes, there's a blend that doTERRA has come out with that's called Clary Calm, and this is actually our monthly blend. It helps soothe the smooth muscles that surrounds the uterus. So if you're a crampy person, putting it directly around your ovaries, around your lower abdomen can really relieve menstrual pain immediately. But it also has things like Vitex in it and a whole slew of other essential oils. So I love having blends that are like made for a specific purpose, right? So this is kind of a overall hitter. This is good for menstruating teens, moody people, infertility, going through menopause. This is kind of hits all the things.
I have that one. I love it.
Good. Yes, I use it all the time. So those are kind of my favorite oils as far as like women's cycle support.
Let's review those again. We got rose geranium, and the clary sage, bergamot, and the clary sage.
Yes. Right. I would also throw in lavender in there. You know,
yeah, that one kind of just
like
goes with everything.
Calming, lovely thing. You know, there's one more blend that I'll mention that doTERRA has called Whisper. This is it's kind of coined as a perfume blend, but what it does is it helps our adrenals. So it helps our bodies process cortisol faster. So it kind of attacks cortisol and helps it get us out of our system. So I feel like when I want to scream, I use Whisper.
Oh, that's great. I get it.
Right.
I
so
love
this
it.
is really helping nurture our adrenals, and adrenal fatigue is a thing that's pretty common in women. So that's just one other tool that we can use to help kind of support the overall system.
I want to say just a little something about cortisol.
Yes.
Based on my own experience. If you don't know a lot about cortisol, it's the hormone that's released during stress. It's like the stress hormone. And my history is of major depression and anxiety. And when I used to have my really, really powerful bouts, my brain, I really felt it. It was just flooded with cortisol, and cortisol can truly eat away tissues. And I really felt like my brain was being eaten away every time I had one of those spells. And I just felt like acid in my being. And so anything that can help regulate and like get that out of your system and just help keep your stress lower, like try this stuff. I use essential oils a lot. My friend has this, it's been, a topic for the past 4 weeks. Obviously, I'm a huge fan, but it really does. And like you said, the olfactory connection, like the stuff happens fast.
Yes, it does.
If you've never tried it, give it a shot.
Yes. No. And I mean, I'm such a proponent. It's such a great way to increase the wellness in your lifestyle. Essential oils are wonderful. So I do have a basic protocol that I'd like to share with you. That's a hormone balancing protocol. So here's the thing. Whenever we have symptoms around hormones, it's because there's an imbalance, right? So most of the oils and things that we're using are adaptogens. So they know what to do, right? They know what's going on in our body. Plants have a way. It's kind of like, well, how does Midol know where to go? Plants know where to go, right? So you can just trust your body to handle that. So the kind of primary hormone balancing protocol that I would give anyone that's like dealing with infertility, PCOS, endo and adeno, cramps, menopause, I would do this as a baseline, and then I would add specific things relative to your specific concerns, because there really is no like one size fits all. We are so we're also individualized, and there really needs to be specific attention on exactly what you're dealing with. But this is a good baseline. It would be Clary Calm, this blend to balance sex hormones. It would be Slim and Sassy, which is a blend of oils that comes in a capsule, or it's got like grapefruit and peppermint and ginger. That helps balance blood sugar levels and help soothe adrenals. I would throw Whisper in there for adrenal support. We would do lemon in our water for liver detox. We would do something that's called Zindacrine, and it comes in a capsule. I like it in a capsule, but it also comes in an oil. I'll read these because these are all oils that help support our endocrine system. Our endocrine system runs our whole hormonal show. So it has tangerine, rosemary, geranium, juniper, and cilantro oil. So these are all about really amping up our endocrine system so that it can run better. Because when our endocrine system is running, our thyroid is running better, our liver, all the pieces are running better. So it's funny to think that our liver and our thyroid have so much to do with our hormone balance, but it's tied. It's super closely tied. I would also suggest we have a phytoestrogen, which isn't estrogen. It's actually helps eradicate xenoestrogens, which are the negative estrogens that live in our fat cells that cause scary things like cancer, right? So having some sort of estrogen progesterone hormone balance with some plant-based thing would be great. And then something in the realm of a bone nutrient, I think is important as we age, with some calcium and some magnesium. And then clary sage and peppermint are excellent for hot flashes. So I love using these in a spray bottle. So if you're getting hot flashes, you can kind of cool yourself from the outside with clary sage and peppermint. You could also use peppermint internally and cool yourself from the inside out. So there's kind of two different pathways to handle a hot flash. And then frankincense, mostly because it's an anti-inflammatory. It is a nervous system tonic, and it really helps sustain neurological functioning and helps our brain talk to our body. The older we get, the harder that communication is. So we need to keep the lines of communication running as well as they can. So frankincense is one of those oils that is an amazing preventative medicine oil and a neurological tonic. All the while it's grounding, sedative, calming, and nurturing. So that's one of those oils that has a lot of bang.
What do you do with that one? What do you do with frankincense?
I use it sublingually under my tongue. It doesn't taste lovely. You can put it on the crown of your head. Anything that's kind of like neurologically support, you can put on the back of your neck, on your brain stem area. I also put it wherever you think it needs to go. So the cool thing about essential oils is that you can't mess it up. There's 5 oils that are considered hot that if you put them directly undiluted on your skin can cause skin irritations. Those are clove, cinnamon, cassia, thyme, and oregano. And if you think about those, they are hot. They're warming. So those need to be diluted. Anything else you can just put on your body. Listen to your body. Put it where you think it needs to go. In homeopathy and alternative medicine, there's something called proximity that says the closer you put it to where you think the problem is, the faster and more effective it'll work. So if you're having a headache, put it on your head. If your tummy hurts, put it on your tummy. Other than that, trust your intuition, use those body centers, listen to that internal voice, and you will know where to put those oils.
If anybody has any questions, shoot them in. We've got, well, we can always go over if we get more questions, but we've got 10 minutes before this first interview will go.
Okay. I want to talk a little bit about the mind and the spirit. So I've really focused on the body stuff. I hope that you feel like some equipped information.
So good. Oh, and I want to say, so this is going to be recorded. You can re-listen to it. I'll post it. Jessica will have, we'll both have YouTube links. It'll always be on my IGTV channel. And I'll put your website in my link tree. Also, you can, what is it right now? I'll say it right now. What is your website? Or your email address?
Email address is wellnessmattersinc@gmail.com.
So you can reach out to Jessica directly if maybe you want to work with her one-on-one, or, you know, as a consultant or whatever. So, I mean, obviously she's a huge, incredible wealth of information. So she can be a great resource in some capacity. So
yeah,
feel
and you
free
can
to reach out.
also contact me on Insta, on my
Perfect.
page there. It's a great place too.
And what's your Insta page?
It's, I think it's Jess_Press Wellness Matters. It'll be
Yep,
on
it is.
here, I think.
It should. Oh yeah, you're right. It should be on here somewhere.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway, keep going. You were going to say.
Okay. So mind, when we're looking at women's health and our mind, so much has to do with what we're telling ourselves about our health and about our bodies, right?
Mm-hmm.
So looking at what you're telling yourself, positive affirmations are a thing. Stress management around positive affirmations is great. So just having a real clear perspective on managing your stress is super great. In general, with oils, citrus, florals, and trees are awesome for managing stress. So citruses are really good for the people that get stressed out and they want to stay in bed. They don't want to face the world and they want to just shut down. Citrus oils are uplifting, invigorating, and open things up. Florals are like a hug from Mother Nature. So if you get sad and lonely and gloomy and meh, flowers are the thing to use because they'll open your heart. They'll help you feel warm and loved. And then woods are people that get in stressful situations, like spin out in their head and they're like, rah! Woods, using trees on our bodies, they ground us, they root us, they settle and sedate our spirits. So those are kind of the things that I love to use when dealing with stress management around women's health. I also love, you know, doTERRA has awesome mood blends and emotional blends, and I go to those a lot. And if you're curious about those, I can teach more about those. But there's a beautiful little, so diffusing oils, easy. Put them in your diffuser. It's blowing in your face. You're being affected. Having a rescue remedy, like in the form of a roller ball, is huge. You feel stressed out, you can roll it on. Excuse me.
Bless you.
And then there's a wonderful little neuroplasticity tool that I'm going to teach you. And it really just looks like this. A negative belief comes up. I'll use the common one. Like, I don't like my body. I'm too this, right? Like, I'm too fat is usually the one that women use the most. I'm too big, right? You can start changing the way your body responds chemically by changing the way your mind thinks about that. So just as an example of how I would do that and working with a client, I would find an essential oil that speaks and resonates to the issue or to them as a person. I would have them put it in their hand. We would find an affirmation to rebuild a new belief system, because really what we're trying to do is rewire information pathways in our brain so that we actually believe and think something different, something better, and something more productive for ourselves. So you would put an oil in your hand, you would say that affirmation, smell the oil, say the affirmation, smell the oil, and do that in a cycle of 3 to 5 times. The point is the next time you smell that oil, guess what's coming to your mind? It's that positive thought. So this is just a very simple exercise that I do with a lot of clients to just help reframe and rediscover a new neural pathway to a better thought pattern. So our minds can work beautifully with essential oils. The last thing I want to talk about is the spiritual component of oils. Each plant has a spiritual essence. Plants have things to teach us. They have messages, they have frequency, and they have information for us. The chemistry in a plant is chemistry that goes into our body. So basically we're putting little bits of information in our body. What we sometimes don't realize is that there's spiritual information in these plants too. So for example, grapefruit is the oil of honoring the body. So when you are not honoring your body, when you're beating your body up, when you're not happy with it, using grapefruit, you're actually giving your body information that you're honoring your body. So there's this beautiful relationship that you can make with these plants that helps nourish the spiritual connection that you have to yourself as well. There are some oils that help protect and clear your energy field. I love tea tree or melaleuca for that. It's a great energy protector. It's also good at cutting cords or energy entities that might be attached to you. Great places to put melaleuca or tea trees across your chest, across your abdomen, creases of your wrist, and creases of your elbows. Those are all wonderful places to help clear energy, break down walls, and help create positive boundaries. Frankincense, sandalwood, and Melissa are all super high energy, super spiritual oils. I love using those either on your third eye or your crown chakra to help create a super highway channel to the divine. So these would be great oils to be using during meditation, spiritual vision quests, praying, plant medicine journeys, and things like that. Shifting one step over into oils for lovers. If you're having low libido, or you want to spice up the bedroom, or just want to feel more sexual or sexy, these oils help induce these properties in us. Jasmine, rose, cinnamon, Hawaiian sandalwood, black pepper, patchouli, ginger, and ylang ylang. These are like our sexy time oils. A lot of them can be put in and around our sexual organs. A lot of them can be smelled. If you're going to use cinnamon, ginger, or black pepper, it needs to be diluted. They can also be used in personal lubricant like coconut oil to add some flavor, if you will, to your personal lubricants, because most mainstream lubricants are poison. Okay, the last thing I want to do.
And I'm just going to give you a time check. We have 2 minutes.
Okay, perfect. I'm just wrapping up, so that's perfect. I'm going to list about 40 things that you can do to feel a lot better. And my hope is that each of you watching or listening will take 3 of these things and say, yeah, you know what, I'm going to try that for a month or a week or even a day. And my hope is that you understand that when you make tiny little shifts in your lifestyle, and they add up to big change over time. So you don't have to do all of it at once. You can just take little things and start maneuvering and start moving your ticker towards well-being. So I'm going to go through some of these, and you can like write down the ones that resonate, write down the things that you're like, yeah, I can do that for a minute. Okay, here they are. Get more protein in your body. Hydrate. Meditate, sleep, stretch, find purpose, get in nature, eat more fruits and vegetables, eat fewer saturated and trans fats, take deep breaths, wear sunscreen, take supplements, eat less salt, laugh more, stay positive, eat healthy snacks, get massages, get a checkup, get more exercise, control your sweet tooth, look at your nutrition, walk more, have more sex, limit alcohol, eat fermented foods, improve your posture, use natural skincare, do some yoga, make time for your friends, look at anti-inflammatory foods, stay on top of your gut health, drink green tea, find healthy fats to eat. Find a hobby you love. Phase out fast food. Wake up earlier. Increase your self-care. And make a bath time a ritual. So hopefully out of those list of things, you could find 3 things that you could be like, yep, I could do that. I can change that. I could work on that. And I can almost guarantee that those will pour over into more habits that increase your quality of life in a wellness-centered lifestyle. So I know that that was a lot of information. I hope that it was interesting, and that you learned something. And I hope that I maybe inspired or encouraged you to look at using nutrition and plant medicine in a way to increase your health and to also work on prevention. So the take homes, can I just go through that?
Well, let me just say, yeah, you can totally go through all of it. I'm just, when I re-upload this for IGTV, it cuts off at an hour. So some of it just may not go on, but that's totally fine. So just to say right here, everybody, and then you can talk some more. Thank you for joining us. My name is Nikki Aiello. I'm a recovery and life transition coach. So you can learn more about me, nikkiaiello.com, and I help people recover from destabilizing life events, substance abuse, depression, and work on changing their lifestyle. I'm more of a lifestyle person than a trauma processor. I'm a resource, and I gather up, you know, anything and everything that you need to put together a really supportive system for you and your new journey. So I bring people like Jess into the mix. I bring functional medicine doctors. I bring specialists in different areas that support you on building a strong foundation. And so Jessica, Jess Press, she, you can reach her. Once again, your email address is
wellnessmattersinc@gmail.com.
So reach out to her to work with her directly, and then yeah, share this with other people. And you can you can watch this and review it as many times as you want on my IGTV. And we'll be sending out, if you're on our newsletters or whatever, you'll be getting this link on YouTube also. So I'm just going to say goodbye because this will be an end to this bit, but we can keep talking and you say whatever you wanted to say. What's that?
Thank you so much.
Well, you're welcome. This is like such a huge, you were wonderful. Way to lay it all out in a really great way for everybody to have. Like, it was just very, very systematic. And I think you gave us a good background on so many different things. And then some real practical, you know, tools and practices, and just the right amount of information with a lot of things. So great job. You're obviously a really great educator. I know that you do that as part of your living for sure, and just your life's work. So I'm excited to do more with you because you're super inspiring, and I'd like to work with you in different capacities too.
Yes,
so.
Let's play.
And so you guys, I'm going to let Jessica talk for another minute or so, but also after we finish this, we are getting back on. So if you're watching either of us and you see us go live again, we're pre-recording, or we're going to do this and then we're going to actually kind of launch it or whatever, put it out right around Thanksgiving. We're doing a little thing for kids, for basically kind of like an activity that they can do with their parents to support their own mental health and emotional beings with oils. So it's going to be kind of like an activity thing that we are going to do together, that Jess is going to walk us through with, you know, what supplies to get, what oils to get, and what to do with them for
it's a fun DIY.
So that's going to come up.
Mood management.
There you go. So that's going to come up in a minute.
Great.
Go ahead and finish what you were saying before I interrupt.
If there's any take homes, these are the things that I would encourage. Listen to your body, right? Like, tune into those centers in your body, really listen to your body, find joy, and focus on kidney health. It's huge. And then, you know, looking at your nutrition, having your sleep and stress managed, detoxing your life, and just having informed self-care, knowing that you have options, knowing that there's things out there that can help you, I think are so key. Awesome. I have one more offer I'm going to give. The first 3 people that message me from hearing this broadcast, I would love to send you a little women's oil support kit with some samples of the oils that I talked about today. Wow. And I'd also like to include a 30-minute consult with me. So that's kind of like my freebie today that I'm giving away. So if that interests anyone, contact me through Insta or through my email at wellnessmattersinc@gmail.com, and I will get your address and we can get on the phone for a little consult.
That's awesome. You guys should totally take advantage of that. That's really cool. Well, thank you, Jess.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'll see you again in a